Welcome, welcome, welcome to this week's Speak Your Truth podcast. Today, my guest is certified healthy weight loss behavior coach, Stephanie Lee. Stephanie has over 25 years of experience in the field in health and wellness. And if you're like me, you need some health and wellness knowledge. Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you so much, Lori. I'm really happy to be here.
I am so glad to have you on today. Stephanie, you are not only just a coach, but you're an author. You probably have a zillion different titles. Tell us a little bit more about what all you got going on here.
So it all started years ago with fitness, and I started teaching fitness classes, and just over time. Well, I started later in life. First of all, I started teaching later in life. And then as time went on, I found that, my own life experience with weight loss challenges, I thought there's got to be some knowledge that I have gained over the years with all those challenges that I could share with other people and help other people so that they're not having to struggle like I did over the years. And so by kind of sort of accident, sort of synchronicity, I found the Healthy Behavior Institute and pursued the Healthy Weight Loss Behavior Coaching Program. And it turned out to be perfect for the way that I want to approach just not necessarily always weight loss, but sometimes people just want to have a healthier lifestyle. And that can sometimes result in weight loss, but maybe the focus is a little bit different.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So
absolutely. I started to learn more about the psychology, if you will, of weight loss, because it's not just about adopting a program and then, like I can give you a plan, but if we don't have a way to be able to incorporate that into your everyday life, then that plan's not going to work for you long term. And so that's part of the way that I approach it.
Absolutely. As an emotional eater,
Mm-hmm.
it is wholeheartedly true. My brother and I even were talking about it not too long ago about, even he didn't realize how much of an emotional eater he was until he started working on his health. And I was like, yeah, it's crazy. It's amazing. Like, I like to eat when I'm bored. I like to eat when I'm stressed out.
Yeah.
But sometimes that stress is not even like, it's not something that's so that I can pinpoint, it's like there might be something that I have coming up, but I don't realize that it's making me anxious and nervous. And so instead I'm like, oh, here, let me have something, I just do this. And I also have a little bit of social anxiety, which I didn't realize until I quit drinking. When I started drinking water, when I would go out, I would notice that I was just constantly sipping the water. And I was like, oh, was using that beer, to kind of make until I felt like I was comfortable enough.
Yes.
So
yes,
it's amazing. So tell us about, tell us about what you've learned with all of that and with you, with your clients and how you've grown from that.
There's a lot of different aspects to it, and a great deal of it depends on the individual. So my approach is to learn more about you and your lifestyle. What are your stressors? We all have stress. So what are the stressors? They're not going to go away. So how do we deal with that and incorporate a healthy lifestyle? So a lot of times when we are choosing certain types of foods, they give us a certain level of comfort. And so sometimes it can be a sensory thing, like ice cream, for example, tends to be because it has that soothing kind of smooth texture. It can be soothing to our nervous system.
Oh, yeah.
So things like that, or just different foods that we choose, like sometimes the crunch, like if we're angry, maybe we need the crunch to help us kind of work through the anger. And so we don't want to necessarily get rid of the ice cream, for example. I'll use ice cream as an example.
Right.
Um, but what we want to do is find, instead of maybe the Ben and Jerry's, maybe there's another option that gives you that same texture, that same physical response, but has much less sugar, much less fat, much less calories. So
Some
again,
Halo Top.
yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. And and if you're eating a pint of Ben and Jerry's, it's much better to eat a pint of Halo,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And then,
one pint of that is a serving size of Ben and Jerry's, just,
yes,
calorie wise. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And then we can start to back off from that if we need to. So
Hmm.
the idea, because what happens when we have this notion that I'm going on a diet, I've got to stop eating the way I've been eating. So we go from 0 to 60 in a day. And where I want you to go is 0 to maybe 2 or
Wow.
maybe even 1. And then gradually we get to 60. If we get to 60, we may not have to. We may be able to have enough going on in the meantime that really helps to make enough of a change that you're feeling better. And once you start feeling better, then that motivates you right there by itself. So I don't really have to do a lot after that because
Right.
you're doing it yourself. But it's just really the guidance and understanding, not only what it is that you're using the food for, but also how you like to be communicated to.
Ooh,
So some
yeah.
people like a lot of information. Some people don't want any. Just tell me what to do. Just, just don't give me all that information. So we
That's
go
that's
through
so
that.
true. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So we do that through a really simple, quick assessment. It's a healthy behavior assessment that I offer. It's a free, like I say, super easy document that you can complete. And it helps for us to identify the top 2 areas in your life that are the greatest priority right now, whether it be relationships, nutrition, fitness, whatever it is. And then initially, the first time we meet, then we identify how you best receive communication. So I'm not throwing a bunch of stuff at you if you don't want to know a bunch of stuff. So,
Right. Oh my gosh. I mean, I think that that is such a crucial part of it
mhm.
because when you said that, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense, because a lot of times people are like, hey, read this, read this, read this, read this, read this. And not everybody is oh, look, I've got something else. I've got more paper. I've got more something to read. Or, oh, she sent me this 30-minute video or, something like that. I think I am much better to digest things in small bites because it does become overwhelming.
Mhm.
And, as someone who, I used to laugh because I was like, oh, I could definitely be a health coach. But, because my weight just goes up and down all the time. And I'm in an up phase, but we'll eventually fix that and slide it back down. Um, that's just who I am. Because I don't like to go to the gym. I don't really even like to exercise. I used to run. And when I quit running, that's what happens when you quit running. If you don't adjust what you're eating, and I mean, adjust what you're eating, it all stays with you because you don't realize how much you're burning, and how much your body constantly burns on a regular basis. Because I think I quit running and, um, you know, got, got to a good weight and maintained that for over a year. And at some point when I was really not getting enough movement at all from anything, from yoga or whatever, that it started to creep up and it just kept creeping. I've gotten it to I got it to a height and now it's starting to come back down. So, but you're right. It's all of those things. Um, So Stephanie, I definitely hope that you'll we'll be able to provide that link to anybody that wants um, to get a health assessment from you for that. Um, so do you just work individually with people, or do you do group coachings? What are your offerings?
Right now, I'm doing just individuals. It helps because what I do is so specific to you.
Right.
And so while we could talk generalities in a group, it's kind of like, again, just more information that maybe isn't applicable to you, but maybe somebody else in the group. So right now, I haven't quite figured out how to do the group thing. So I'm just doing individuals.
And I'll tell you the driver for me from where that question came from, because I have always been a huge Weight Watcher person. I was a lifetime member, Weight Watcher customer. I shouldn't say member, customer, because it always worked for me. But it stopped working during the pandemic
Yeah.
and afterwards when they closed all their stores.
Yes.
And that in person, I'm fine, like I can get on my scale every day or once a week or whatever it is and weigh myself. I do a lot better keeping myself on track when I know that I got to get on a scale in front of somebody I don't know.
Yeah.
I do. And that was just kind of where my question came from, because I do think that individual, even more so probably helps even more so to know that you're just showing up by yourself instead
Yeah.
of with a whole group of people,
Yeah.
and, to weigh in, check in, measure in, whatever it is, and kind of go over, you're not going over, you are going over what the triggers are, what's eating,
Right.
instead of just kind of a group community. They have all this stuff online and they have Zoom meetings, but those were not the same. I mean, I gave
Yeah.
it a good try for a year.
Yeah.
And I was like, this just isn't working for me because I'm uncomfortable in these Zoom groups because I equate Zoom to work,
Yeah.
to my
Yes.
corporate job. And I'm like, I wouldn't get on a scale in front of any of these people for anything. I mean, and I say that, but that was one of the things that I was trying, I'm trying to get my corporate job to go back to, is like, you should have somebody from Weight Watchers come out here and do a on-site meeting,
Hmm.
because they don't have, I mean, they do have, but not in my town anymore. They don't have
Yeah.
a Weight Watchers here
Yeah.
anymore.
There's not
But
as many as there used to be.
no, well,
Yeah.
and I kind of laughed because mine was in a shopping center, which I tend to say is upscale. It's got a Talbot's and some other things. And I'm like, that's kind of an upscale place. So you're spending a lot of money to be in that location, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so um, tell me about your book.
Well, there's a couple things I can tell you about that. So
All right.
I've written several articles now for San Diego Woman magazine. Had a feature article a few months ago. That was really exciting.
Oh, that
And
is exciting.
yeah, and it was actually about breast cancer and implants.
Hmm.
Was the main focus of the article was about implants. So it's very health related, but it just, the woman I interviewed just opened my eyes to some amazing things that can happen to us after we have implants. So there was that, and then I've contributed as a collaborating author in several books, and then the most recent one. And it's so hard for me to say this because I don't really curse, but the title of the book, so it's off me, but the title of the book is Get Shit Done. So I was a contributor in that, and
That's awesome.
yeah, thank you. And we reached international number one international bestseller status. Yeah,
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
yeah, that was really exciting. But the chapter that I wrote in that book is a part of the solo book that I'm working on myself, which is the title of that is Confessions of a Fat FAT, Frustrated and Tenacious Fitness Instructor. And the reason for that book was because I was finding that as a fitness instructor, a lot of people seem to believe that I just had it all together on the health and wellness side, and I don't. And I just wanted them to know my story from beginning to today. And so that's what that book is about. So the first half will be kind of the backstory of the struggles that I had with compulsive overeating, and then the second half of the book is really more about what I do now as a coach, and offering suggestions for ways to improve our relationship with food.
And what a relationship we have with food, isn't it? Quite amazing.
Mhm.
Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate it. This has been so eye-opening for me. When you talk about your struggles with compulsive eating, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's all these things that are just popping in my head. I love it. It's just great information. And your book that you've contributed to, Get Shit Done, you can get it probably anywhere you can get books. Is that correct?
Yes, on Amazon. The official title is Action Takers Who Get Shit Done. So those
That's
first three
awesome.
words. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, Stephanie, I really appreciate you getting up early to join me today. And I don't know why I forgot that, even though we've talked before, I forgot you were on the other coast, on the left
Yes.
coast, and I'm on the right coast. So thank you for getting up early to join me today. And we certainly hope you'll come back and join us again sometime. I feel like I've got quite a few questions for you, so uh, I would love to have you back on sometime.
Oh, Lori, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, my friends, until next time, that is this week's Speak Your Truth podcast. We'll see you next time.